Have you ever looked around your house and noticed every cabinet, drawer, and closet overflowing with things? Your countertops full and maybe even things spilling out to the floor? That's where I was a year ago when I first started on my decluttering journey, and I wanted to talk about some of the practices that can really propel your journey forward, and then some of the other practices that may hold you back or even cause you to stop decluttering altogether. So let's get into it. So number one is take the time to really understand your why. Why are you doing this? What is your goal? What do you want your home to look and feel like? Because this is what's going to keep you going when you're tired. Decluttering is not easy. It is a massive undertaking, especially if you're someone like me that had a lot of items in the home. It's going to take a while, and it's going to take some grit to really get it done. There were so many times that I wanted to give up, but I didn't because I understood my why. And this helped me continue on the journey and get my home to a place where I feel comfortable now. So understanding your why is extremely important, and the number one thing I think you should do before even starting. Number two, I'm sure you've all heard the saying, failing to plan is planning to fail. If you start without a system and a structure, you are likely to fail. Don't just begin diving in head first without a plan. Know which system you want to use. Know who you want to follow in different structures of doing things that's going to work for you, because without all of that, you're likely to give up. I would recommend listening to Dana K. White's Decluttering at the Speed of Life, because it's a really incredible book. She gives a lot of information on to how to change your mindset and how to go forward and how to really go about things. Something like the 4-box method, which you're going to have your donate, sell, trash, and recycle bins. You could have all of that ready when you're starting a big project. That would be very helpful. Number three is to make a list. So you want to go room by room and really make a detailed list on different areas of that room that you actually want to get done. So for instance, you could, if you want to get your kitchen done, you could make a checklist with your kitchen and every drawer in there. That way, depending on what you have for time available, you can spend 5 minutes getting a drawer done. You can maybe spend an hour getting a couple of cabinets done. It just depends on the amount of time that you have available and the energy that you have to give it. But being able to check those items off is really, I found really helpful to keep me going on the journey. You could actually start making a list even before you're ready to declutter. So if you have a few minutes, take out a pen and paper and come up with a list of all the areas in your home. That way, it's giving you some time to think about it, so when you jump into it, you actually have, again, you have a plan of where you're going to start and what you want to get done. If you've watched any of my previous videos, you may have seen my basement. That was probably the hardest thing that I had to do in my home, was getting my basement done. It took me almost a year to get it fully done, and I did eventually have to hire a professional declutter organizer to come in and help me because I was at a loss. But what I did was I broke that down into smaller sections. So my food pantry, if you haven't seen any of my previous videos, 2020 happened and I became a prepper. I had always had an inventory of things in the house, but it really ramped it up and it kind of got out of control. So I had to really break it down into sections, saying, okay, I'm going to work on this shelf of food today, or I'm going to work over in the laundry area, or I'm going to work on my cleaning supplies. Just breaking it down into smaller sections really helped keep the overwhelm at bay, because if I was just to go down there and say, I'm going to tackle the basement today, I never would have gotten started because it was just too overwhelming for me. Number four is to change your mindset. If you want to succeed at decluttering your house, you have to change your mindset. So whatever it may be, if it's constantly going out and shopping for new clothes, or in my case, it was food and prepping items, you really have to change your mindset and realize that those practices have to change if you're going to make any kind of progress. One of the other mindset shifts that really helped me was Dana K. White's The Container Method. It honestly changed everything about the way I was decluttering. Sometimes when I first started, I would say, well, I can still hold on to this. I'll find a place for it. But knowing that the container is your limit and your home is a container really and truly changed everything about the way that I was decluttering and really propelled my journey forward. Number 5 is, I would say, start with the areas that bother you the most. My kitchen was one. I had set the goal for myself of getting clear countertops. It was really important to me. I was tired of looking at all the visual clutter and I wanted to clear off the countertops. In order to do that, I had to go through and clear out all of the cabinets and the drawers first. And it didn't happen overnight. It was a process. It took several months because that's how long it took me to really be able to let go of everything. Everyone is different. You may be able to do it a lot quicker than that, and it may take you longer, and that's okay. It's whatever is going to work for you. When you find something that works for you, it's going to click, and that's what's going to work for you. And it doesn't matter how long it takes you. One of the things that Dana K. White says that I don't really agree with, for me personally, she said to start with all of the areas that you can see first, because that will give you more motivation to keep going. But in the example of the clear countertops, in order to do that, I had to get rid of all of the items in the cabinets. Those were the items that were not being used. All the stuff on the countertops are the things that we are using all the time. I used to keep a knife block, all of my kitchen utensils. We used to have like sugar and all that cereal, everything, mail. We had so many things on the countertops. I can't even imagine living like that now. But at one point, that's what we had on the countertops. So in order to do that, I had to clear out the cabinets and the drawers to be able to make space for that stuff. Because in the back of the cabinets was all of the items that we were no longer using. So for me, I just had to go through that first, and that's what worked. So now for some of the don'ts. I would say to ignore the aesthetics of minimalism. It can really get you caught up and hold you back from actually decluttering your home. If you're looking at all of these beautiful photos of beautiful minimalist homes, I know for me, I thought, well, my home is never going to look like that. It's not, I don't have a big house. I don't have the money to buy all new furniture and redo every room in my house, so it's never going to look like that. So it kind of stopped me from even starting to begin with, but I would say your house doesn't have to look like that. Eventually, you can change things as you go. We've slowly began to repaint rooms and buy some small things for furniture, but it doesn't have to happen before you declutter. I would say make your space workable for you. Don't worry about what you think a minimalist house needs to look like, because we're all different. You have different tastes. By just clearing out all of these spaces in your home that are bothering you, you're going to feel so much better about your home. And then if you want, you can slowly incorporate other things into that as you go. But don't let it stop you from even starting. Number 2 don't start with your family members' belongings. You have to start with only your items first. You cannot declutter your family members' items. I was cleaning out the bathroom at one point and I threw away my husband's toothbrush charger, and I didn't realize that it was his. I thought it was one that was never used, but he actually did use it. So that was the one thing that we've had to repurchase this whole time. But even when I did the kids' rooms, I didn't throw their things out without talking to them. You have to only deal with your items first, and then hopefully as your family members maybe see the improvements and the progress in your house, it may kind of nudge them to go forward with their own decluttering process. But you have to give them that time and space to do so. I just wanted to take a minute to say, if you're getting any value out of this, I would love it if you could like the video. It really does help the channel. And also if you want to share it with someone else who may find value. And I really just wanted to show you my Christmas tree. It is the perfect Christmas tree that I found this year. Perfect size, perfect shape. So let me just show you that really quick. Look at this Christmas tree. It is perfect. Every year we go out and buy a tree, and the last couple of years I've been going to this place. It really is, they have beautiful trees, but they haven't been perfect like this one. So let me know what you think. Do you buy a real tree or do you buy a fake tree? Number 3 don't go Marie Kondo if you're not ready for that. I've watched her show on Netflix. It's amazing the progress that people have from that. But just the thought of pulling out every item of clothing and putting it into one space is incredibly overwhelming to me. That's not something that I think most people have the time and or energy to do. So I would say go in small sections. Take one drawer, one cabinet, maybe one closet, even if you have a couple of hours to do so. But please, if you don't have the time and energy, please don't pull everything out in your house and put it in a center of the room, because what happens if you get called away? What happens if something happens with someone else and you need to stop your progress? Then you just have a big mess to clean up, and that would be enough for me to just put everything away and just stop altogether. Number 4, don't, is realize that you're not going to be able to sell everything. I know that you've spent money on the item. It may kind of be hard to let it go. I have put a couple things up for sale. I have sold one of those items for $25 and I had to go meet somebody at a public place. The other few things that I've put on Facebook Marketplace, just because they were going to be like, I think I listed them for like $60 or $70. They haven't sold, and I've gotten several messages about them. So it's like the constant back and forth, haggling about prices. Then you have to find a public meeting place and you have to go out and meet people. It's so much easier to just donate the items. You can donate to a donation center, you can donate to a shelter, you can donate to schools, daycares, libraries. You can find places to donate to. That's not just a big donation center if that's what you're feeling guilty about. But it's not worth your time, because time is so valuable. You don't want to have to waste all of your time trying to sell items just to make a few dollars back. Find a price point that you're willing to sell things at. Maybe if you want to set it for $100 or $50, whatever you want to do, and list that item for a certain amount of time, whatever you think works for you. And then if it doesn't sell within that time, I would just say let go of it. Honestly, I would just say let go of most things. Unless you have something really valuable that you think you're going to make some money back on. The money is already spent. You're not going to get it back. So don't waste any more time on the item. Number 5, don't try to organize when you're decluttering. I know we all love a good before and after photo. It's beautiful. It's amazing to look at. It's very satisfying to see. But I can just show you the amount of bins and baskets and all types of organizers that I've had over the years that are now sitting empty, because instead of trying to organize, I should have just been decluttering all along. You can't organize your clutter. It took me many years to realize that, unfortunately, and I've spent a lot of money on different organizers and baskets and bins when it was unnecessary. So I would just say, really declutter your space down to only what you love and only what you think you're going to use. Get rid of the rest. Live with that space for a while, a couple weeks, a couple months. Maybe you never even need organizers for that space, but really live with that space for a while. And then if you want to organize it more, great. Go out and buy the bin or the basket or whatever organizer you want, because you know that that's going to fit in that space. It's going to hold exactly what you have left, but you're not trying to organize your clutter. Please don't do that. Number 6, don't try to do it all at once. This is a process. It is going to take some time. Don't say, I'm going to declutter my entire house this weekend. That's almost impossible for most of us. Unless you're already fully decluttered and you're just doing a re-declutter every 6 months or every year or something, I would say that it's impossible to do. So don't even give yourself a time limit. Do what works for you. Don't overload your schedule. Don't worry too much about it. Just get things done. If you take 10 minutes here, 15 minutes here, an hour there, I promise you it will get done. Number 7, don't start with your sentimental items. Those are going to be the hardest things to declutter, so do those at the end. If you know that you're going to have a hard time decluttering a certain category of items, please don't start there. That's going to be impossible. It's going to be hard. It takes a lot of mental energy to declutter, and starting with your sentimental items is really just going to hold you back. So start with all of the other things in your house and then work your way up to the sentimental items, and then it'll be much easier. You'll have gained some decluttering muscle, and it'll be much easier to let go of certain things. Or if you're not ready to let go of those items, more spaces in your house will have more room, and then you can maybe display those items in a different way as opposed to keeping them in boxes in a basement or an attic somewhere. So just think about that. And then once you've decluttered your entire house, you feel really good about the spaces in your home, know that it's never done. This is an ongoing process. You need to create systems to keep your house in order. So for me, over the year, I have developed several little habits that really help keep me going and keep the house tidy and organized, so I'm not spending hours upon hours cleaning. If you'd like a video on some of the habits that I've developed over the year, I would love to do a video on that if you are interested, so let me know in the comments. But if you find, for example, if you find that you have mail piling up in the same old place that it always has, you need to come up with a system for that mail. Come up with a command center. When you bring the mail in from the house, get rid of all of the trash immediately, recycle the papers that you don't want, shred what you don't need. Try to put everything online as much as possible. If you can pay all of your bills online, stop getting paper bank statements. All of that type of stuff will help keep what's coming into the house down to a minimum, and then it's much easier to maintain going forward. When you're on your journey, take some before and after pictures. Take a picture of your space fully cluttered, however it looks when you're first starting, and then as you make progress, take some photos of the after. That'll really keep you motivated to keep going, because sometimes after a couple months you forget how much stuff you actually had, and it would also, I think, deter you from continuing to buy and getting it recluttered again. I would love to hear about some of the things that have really helped you or hurt you on your journey of decluttering. So I will see you in the next video. Bye.